I had to replace diesel filter, 1.8 TDI, full engine. A lot of people struggle with this one. I've changed it, trying to get it going again. It's because when you take the diesel filter out, you introduce air into the grey feed line to the pump. You need to bleed the system, get the fuel back to the pump. I'll show you how to do that. Minimal tools. First thing we want to take our cover off. It's usually two 8mm bolts. Cover off. This is where the filter sits, inside here. This canister will come out as a unit. Disconnect the electrical connection. Pull it off. Press the two tabs in. Pull up to take off the feed line. This is the out. Looks like someone's broken this one already. This would have a tab in the middle which you pull out, and then you push this whole unit, this white bit in, and pull it off. Might have to do this off camera. I need two hands, so I'll get it off and come back. Okay, so got it, tube off. This should have a tab that pulls out, and then you push this in and pull off. Obviously it's been broken. So anyway, this canister now will pull up. And now the filter is inside here. Need to unscrew this cap, take the top off. We can drain the fuel out from here. What's in there, so you don't make too much of a mess. Take note of where the orientation of the output is basically parallel to the mount. So we get this in the vise, get this ring undone, drain out if you need to, and empty out our canister. Okay, got it in the vise. This ring needs unscrewing. Unscrew it all the way. I've drained the fuel. The ring off, and you can lift, and there's our filter. Now we've got a sealing ring there as well, which sits between. So we can now clean the inside of the canister out. Make sure there's no big bits in there. Empty that out, give it a wipe round. We'll do it. I'll empty the entire thing out so I can show you how to bleed it properly. So we'll empty this out, clean it out, and get our new filter ready. Okay, clean that pot out. New filter in first. Get the new seal on top. When you put the top on, it squeezes it between the lid and the base. Get your lid. Remember, take note orientation of this. Try and keep the O-ring centre. So you've got arrow and arrow. They need to line up so your orientation of the output is in the right place. Your ring. Tighten it down and come back. Okay. So it was back in, orientation, slide onto the sliders, push it down, and plug back in. This is the in, this is the out, this is to the pump. We need to fill this canister up with fuel. You can either do it before or after. You're going to need to put a vacuum on here to suck the fuel through. Need to connect the fuel feed up. Snap that on. And then we need a vacuum here to fill this canister up. So I get that done. Okay, so we've got a vacuum pump attached to the outlet side of the filter. It doesn't really matter if you fill this up previously, because this pipe will be empty of fuel anyway. So even if you fill that up, all you're going to do is drag the fuel that you put in here out and then the air back into it. So if you leave it empty, it's not a problem. There is no pump in the tank for these filters. You need to draw it yourself. So you need to draw vacuum until we get free flowing fuel out of here with no bubbles, and then we fill that filter up. Once you've got a filter full of fuel, we move on to the next stage of priming the pump, which we'll do from return. So fuel's coming out now. We need to make sure this is full of fuel before we go further. So you need to make sure you drag enough through to be sure this is full before we move on to bleeding the pump. Okay, once you're sure you've got clean fuel coming through, you disconnect the pump, and then you need to reconnect the feed line to the pump. Obviously there will be air in this tube, which is what we need to eliminate. Get that back on. You haven't got to use one of these, you can use a hand primer. It just take a bit longer with one of these, but the idea is to get this filter full up with fuel. Now, I need to come down to the pump, which is the return line from the pump back to the tank. Now, if we remove this tube, you need to block the end or put it into a container. Block the end off. Now here is where we need to put our vacuum pump now onto here, and then we can draw. You can see the flow will be a lot slower through this because you're restricted by the pump. Now you will need to make sure you'll get fuel first, and then you'll get air. The air will be what is in this tube going back up to the filter. You need to vacuum this until you've got solid fuel coming through for at least 10 seconds, and then you know you've emptied the air from the pipe and you're sucking fuel from here down to the pump. See, we're getting fuel out. But you're pulling that at the minute only out of the pump itself. You will get another air pocket come out. There we go. You have to wait for that air pocket to clear. And now, again, until they have cleared, you haven't got fuel all the way to the pump. You need it to be fuel. The odd bubble's okay, but not like that. Okay, so once you're dragging through clean fuel, you can leave these connected. The return will just go into your tank. Make sure this is capped off, otherwise you'll get a leak. And you should, in theory, now be able to start it. You shouldn't get the stall out. It should just continue running. It might take a few cranks, but it will go. Coming down the tube into the tank, capped off here, not the leak back. As you can see, it stays running rather than running for 10 seconds and stalling out. That's how you change filter